As teacher trainers, we field more phone calls from trainees about relationships with their mentors than almost any other subject. And that's especially true at certain times of the year, which are well documented to be difficult times. But why is this such a difficult relationship? After all, mentors are experts, sensitive educators. Trainees are committed professional people doing their absolute best. Why does this relationship seem to go wrong as often as it does? Of course, this is a tense and ambiguous relationship. You seek to be the trainee's friend, but you're also her judge. And it's worth remembering how significant those judgments are going to be. They are career, life-affecting judgments. But also, I think, it's an asymmetrical relationship. Most intense relationships in people's lives are more or less symmetrical, more or less even. You and your parents, you and your children, you and your siblings. You have your ups and downs, but they're pretty much even. But this is a wildly asymmetrical relationship. Perhaps it's because of that trainees, when they reflect upon it, use such emotional language. I've been training teachers for a long time, but I'm still surprised at the language they use when reflecting on this relationship. Words like love, hate, elation and despair are not uncommon. Why not try a coach as well as a mentor? Quite a few schools are now offering this to trainees, a coach and a mentor. The difference is that the coach is probably a young member of the department, so probably has more sympathy with the trainee. She's probably quite close to her in age, and she's been through similar predicaments and understands what the trainee is going through. She will be there to support the trainee, perhaps a bit emotionally, and also in terms of pedagogy and tactics for the classroom. But at no time will she be part of the assessment procedure. She will never ever be asked for her opinion about how the trainee is doing by any senior colleagues. And more to the point, the trainee will know this right from the outset. Be clear with your trainee about the context and indeed the subtext of what you're saying to her. When you offer a lesson critique with various suggestions for development, are you actually saying to her, I'm a bit worried about this, there was a lot going wrong there? Or are you actually, conversely, saying, you know, I think you're potentially pretty good. I'm quite impressed by you, and that's why I'm offering you all of these developmental points. She genuinely may not know which of those subtexts applies to that critique. So tell her, it's perfectly all right to say, I'm offering you these criticisms because I think you're going to get much better. I think you're going to do very well. But if what you're actually saying is, I am a bit worried, you need to say so. It's possible that your trainee is experiencing this relationship at a completely different level to you. She may well be constructing her own narrative about it, of which you're completely unaware. But somehow you've got to become aware of that. I had a phone call at the weekend, a 45-minute anguished phone call from a trainee, centering on mentoring difficulties. Towards the end of the call, I asked her to arrange for me to visit her school. And in order to do that, she had to talk to her mentor about these problems for the first time. A couple of days later, I got phone calls from both saying there was no need for me to visit anymore. Everything was sorted out, and the mentor said to me, I had no idea she was so stressed. The conversation about the mentoring had not taken place until it had to. And perhaps your job as a mentor is to make that conversation take place before a crisis demands it. So, how are we going to talk about this difficult, intense relationship? Why not talk about it in terms not of emotions, but of processes? Define the processes with your trainee. Involve her in making those judgments about how the process of training is going to work. Use numbers. Say, when I give you a lesson feedback, how many points do you want me to make? How many negative points would you like there to be? And possibly negative isn't the word that you would use. How many positive points do you need there to be? Define this at the outset. What you're actually doing is setting an agenda for the relationship. This will allow you to talk about this relationship, to define and to manipulate this relationship, not in emotional and difficult ways, but in simple, objective, developmental ways. Of course, as mentor, you're the expert, and the trainee needs you to be the expert, but this can be intimidating, and we've got to avoid that. One trainee said to me, a mentor that occasionally asks for your advice makes you feel much more of a human being. When did you last ask one of your trainees advice about subject pedagogy? They may know things that you don't know. They're at university. Or when did you last use a trainee as a research assistant? Use her expertise, and in doing that, you'll help yourself, but you'll also build her confidence and re-establish some sense of equality in this difficult, asymmetrical relationship. And talking of building confidence, don't mock the trainee's training course or the new ideas that might come from it. Trainees thrive in departments that like new ideas. It's dispiriting to the trainee if she thinks that she's torn between you and the university. If you don't like the training provider's methods, you need to raise that with the training provider, but not with the trainee. It's easy to say, don't bother. It's easy to separate what you might think of as the nitty-gritty world of school from the airy-fairy world of the university provider. They may want learning objectives, but I don't think in those terms. I'm a good teacher. I haven't written a lesson plan for 7 years, but I do very well. Follow me and you'll be all right. But in the end, it's not fair to separate the trainee from significant components of his training course. And in the end, you actually do use learning objectives. You're a good teacher. Children are learning things in your lessons. There are processes. Your classroom is a secure place. There is a lesson plan, even if it's not written down. Your trainee needs you to understand that about your own practice. You're a skilled pragmatist, and that's no mean achievement. But your trainee can't be that. She has no experience on which to base her pragmatism. She needs you to look at your own practice and understand it and make it explicit to her. So perhaps what we're saying is that before you can properly support your trainee, you've got to rediscover yourself.